A big thanks to Åre Skidsport for making this episode possible.
I really loved snowboarding skiing, and I started competing in both when I was 12. At that time, it was only boys at the ski gymnasium, or the moguls, and lots of us moved far away, and lots of us were not ready to move away at 16.
I can imagine.
I can tell you that. In the winter, I work in the ski patrol. We don't have any typical days at all.
Okay,
So
that's part of the fun.
yeah, it's part of the fun. You never know what's gonna happen.
Hey!
Welcome. I mean,
You look like a real Eskimo.
Yeah,
Nice. I like it.
It's winter outside, isn't it?
It is good.
Today we're talking with André. What we know about him so far is that he loves snowboarding and surfing. He works in the ski patrol team here in Åre, and he's traveled around Europe with his van together with his family for more than a year. We can't wait to get to know more about him together with you guys.
have you been on something like this, like podcast or video?
Yeah, I've been on a podcast once.
Really?
Before. Oh. And my butt has been on TV, national TV. Once.
Your what?
My butt, my ass.
Your ass.
Ass, tell me
We-
more. I love it already.
Where
Were you standing for
it
a
was-
famous spot?
I was actually back in the days when I went to the Muggle Gymnasium here, and lots of my friends were normally on TV, like Henrik Winstedt, Johan Olsson, those guys.
Okay.
And then when Johan Olsson was giving an interview for national TV, me and my friend Marcus sneaked up behind and mooned the camera.
And that was put on TV.
Yeah, it was put on.
That is impressive.
But
actually.
that was actually that time it was a channel called ZTV, Set TV.
Okay.
So they were a little bit different from the other channels. It doesn't exist anymore.
Maybe
It's a
because
shame.
of your
No,
birthday.
I don't think that was the end. Yeah, so yeah, no, not except for my dad. No.
So, but you grew up with Jon Olsson then?
Yeah, and Henrik Winstedt, David Kantomio.
How was that?
That was fun times. I moved here when I was 16.
Yeah.
So I grew up in South Sweden, skiing and snowboarding, skateboarding a lot. And then I started mogul skiing when I was 15. And then I moved here and started the Mogul Gymnasium when I was 16.
Did you get any good at it?
No, not good. Decent, I would say. I think I was ranked like number 5 in Sweden when I quit, but I was never number 1.
Number 5 is pretty good.
But I had fun times. Like that was the best teenage time you could have. Growing up here, moving 1,000 kilometers from South Sweden to here without parents, that was a blast.
It must be fun, yeah.
But I assume then you didn't grow up in a mountain town. So then how do you come to the decision to become a mogul skier for Gymnasium?
I don't really know, actually. I since I was little, like the prime time for me during my life or my grew up life, it was when we went to the Alps 2 weeks every year, you know. So I loved skiing and snowboarding, and I started skiing when I was 3 and snowboarding when I was 6. So that was pretty early, back in the 80s.
Wow.
So and then I really loved the winter. I really loved snowboarding and skiing, and I started competing in both when I was 12. I competed in alpine skiing, and then I competed in half pipe and big jump with snowboard.
So that is possible if you live in the south of Sweden as well. So how does it work logistically at a young age?
We have ski resorts down there as well.
Yeah, 'cause then Sälen and things like that, or smaller,
really
different
like
ones?
really down south where
Okay.
where I grew up in Skåne, we have ski resorts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
And that time they actually run it at the winters as well. Now they don't do it because now they focus on mountain biking instead because they have a longer season. But when I was a kid, I mean, Valåsen is one ski resort, and they have 2 chairlifts down there. They're like 15 slopes maybe.
Okay.
So during winter, you always went there Tuesday, Thursday for training, and then on the weekend as well if they were open. But the season was normally very short, so you had to go away and travel a lot in Sweden, I guess.
And why moguls and not slalom or freestyle or?
I don't really know, actually. It just ended up that way. Got no idea.
It was because your friends maybe also went?
No one.
Not even?
No. So I moved here by myself. I didn't know anyone when I moved.
You were 16?
16, yeah.
That is quite early still. I think it's such a funny thing in Sweden that you move away from your home at that age.
And also at that time it was only boys at the ski gymnasium of the Moguls, and lots of us moved far away, and lots of us were not ready to move away at 16.
I can imagine.
I can tell you that.
So how did that go? How did it figure itself out? Because I guess it did, because you're sitting here.
Yeah, I'm sitting here. Yeah. No, we figured it out. We did. We did a lot of fun things, though. A lot of pranks.
Yeah,
lots of pranks. And in the beginning, I guess it was a bit harder. You have to cook for yourself. You have to clean for yourself, stuff like that. But you learned that as well. So everything went fine.
And did you have like a dad figure or a mother figure then, in a way, or it was just you guys?
The parents of the kids growing up here, like David Kantomu were his parents as well. Like you were always welcome there. They had like dinners and stuff. You can always just come by and say hi. And other parents as well. Like there was a bunch of, but I wouldn't say there were any father or mother figures.
They were just a bunch of younger people living together in a house then, or was that the work?
First you start normally, like I did that as well, normally you start in Järpen because the school is there. And first you live back there it was like a corridor with rooms, and then you have kitchen and toilets together with the other students, and you do that normally like the first year of school, and then you get to know everyone. And there also, at that time you had breakfast as well at that place. And then normally after that you move to your own apartments. But there is a lot of houses in Järpen where it's only students, like it's a big complex, and all the apartments they're just students, all of them. So you live like in a community, but you live in your own apartment.
And was it hard at that age to then? It's not only skiing; you still had to do your theoretical homework and stuff.
I can say they were harder for some. I don't know. I got too much discipline, I think, so it wasn't too hard for me.
That's cool.
But I know it was harder for some.
Yeah,
that you have to do it on your own instead.
And you managed quite easily.
I managed pretty well. Yeah. I had pretty good grades actually after.
Yeah,
nice.
After school. Also, I think it's because normally you go to school that time of year or that time of age. You go to school 3 years in Sweden, but there you do it for 4 years because you ski a lot. So on Monday we had like 3 lessons. That was a full day, 3 or 4 lessons. And then on Tuesday we skied the whole day. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we had 2 lessons in the morning, and then we skied in the afternoon. So then it's pretty easy because it's not so, it's not so compressed, the whole study.
Sounds like a great week.
Yeah, it's a really great week. Wow. And since that, you do it on 4 years instead of 3 years. For me it was good because then it's a bit slower and you manage to do all the homework and do all the things. But it's a lot of, they put a lot of responsibility on you. Like you have to focus on doing the schoolwork yourself.
And did it work out for everyone, or did some people got sent away?
I don't think it kind of worked out for everyone.
Yeah.
But
and in the weekends you were free to do what you want.
Free to do whatever you want. And
that time you didn't go home, or
no, I normally only went home during Christmas and then during summer.
Okay.
Because it was 1,000 kilometers away. Maybe other students that were living closer or grew up closer, they sometimes went home, but I didn't. Most of us didn't. We were here during the weekends because that's when the party was.
Where did you go party then?
House parties, our own parties, always.
Yeah, you're not allowed to drink.
No, that's fine. Yeah. And you came up to Åre to snowboard and ski then as well during the weekends, I guess.
Yeah, exact. And at that time there was only one bus or one train into Åre in the morning.
Yeah.
So normally you just went hitchhiking, and there we had a lot of fun
but
stories.
We know you as a snowboarder.
Yeah.
So when did that happen?
No, but I was, like I said before, I was skiing and snowboarding when I grew up, and then the 4 years I was here, it was only skiing. After that, when I graduated in 2002, I went directly to Australia to learn to surf, which has always been a life goal for me. And then I was here for a year, and then I started surfing more and more and more, and that was my biggest interest. And then after a couple of years without being on the snow at all, when I got back, it felt more naturally to do it on a snowboard again. But since then, I've been snowboarding, always snowboarding. I don't own any skis anymore.
How did you make that happen to go to Australia? Was it
working
visa?
Yeah, so working visa.
Yeah.
I was first after graduation. I went back home in South Sweden, and I worked at a nightclub and then at the post office during the week. So like 7 days a week, I worked for 6 months, and then I left for Australia. And then I ended up in Manly as a dishwasher for a couple of more months just to finance my stay there.
And then surf.
A lot of surfing, yeah.
So why are you not living in Byron Bay? Why are you in
Ask my
Åre?
wife. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting every week for her to say, "Let's move."
Yeah.
But she
Ah,
hasn't
really?
said it yet. Yeah. But I would love to. I would love to live where it's warm and surf all year round. And now I'm skipping around. But after Australia, I lived in Norway for a couple of years, where you can snowboarding and surf the same day.
Yeah, but
That's
it's not warm.
It's not warm, but it's still good surf, But I would prefer to live somewhere where it's always warm.
And why does she want to live in Åre?
She really wants for her, with her kind of work, she's a therapist, and for her, it's important to actually be able to speak Swedish very good when she's sitting down with persons. So she's not very keen on moving abroad because of that. Also, we got 2 kids. There's great schools here. Life in Sweden is good when you have, like, for kids, family life, it's very good.
Yeah.
So that's a big.
So as soon as you get retired, you're out of here.
I'm out of here. No, I don't know. We kind of get to settle in as well with the kids. So, and we try to travel a lot with our kids, go away surfing as well. But I would never say no to move somewhere warm like this.
Instant.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, interesting.
So you found your way here now. You apparently switched careers at some point, I would say, or found a new career.
I do a lot of kind of different works.
Yeah.
In the winter, I work in the ski patrol, and then in the summers, I work as a river guide with river rafting. And except for that, I also have a third job. Since the time since we lived in Gothenburg for a couple of years, I still have that work as a coordinator for the city of Gothenburg. So I do that as well. So I have like 3 works. But now during winter time, it's mainly focusing on the ski patrol, obviously, because that's like 100% dedication.
But that's a new thing for you, right?
This is the 3rd year for me in the ski patrol now.
Yeah.
So there I have to ski though, ski patrol.
Because I remember I ran into you 3 years ago, and you were very excited that you just applied, and you were not sure if you were going to get in.
Because it's been like last 10 years I've been thinking about it before we lived here as well. I was like, that would be a really fun thing to do. And then I applied for the ski patrol when I was 39, and I thought, they don't want to have an old man like me. So I was really, when I ran into you, I was really, really excited that they actually accepted me. So that was fun.
So why did they choose you?
The other one that I worked with the first year, he said that he wanted to have a lot of fun at work. That's why he chose me.
Nice. That's a good compliment. That's amazing. That's a very good reason to be picked. Nice.
That's a very good reason to be picked. Yeah. Nice. And are you having fun?
Yeah, I'm having lots of fun. It's a really fun work, definitely. It's we do so many things, I think that's why I really like it. It's not all about taking care of persons who have injured themselves. It's also, being a janitor and just go around and look at stuff and maybe fix that. And then there's a lot of pre-safety work, obviously, with all the mattresses and the nets everywhere, and just have an eye on the mountain, like what can happen here? How can we prevent that from happening?
We see people, going around with scooters, and we see you sometimes, and then we can wave. But that's kind of all that we know. Like, how does the system work in Åre? Are you located because you live in Tegefjell?
Yeah.
Are you located there, or how is it structured?
The first season, I was mainly only in Duved and Tegefjell because it was structured that way before. Now, since last season, they kind of rechanged the whole thing. So now we go around and all like the Åre, Björnen, Åre, Tegefjäll, Duved. So everyone is working everywhere. And so before that, the first season, when I was based in Duved, Tegefjäll, there was like a really small crew of 6 persons, and we didn't really meet the other ski patrols in Åre. We were isolated over there. So I think this is really a better way to do it, because you didn't really meet your colleagues over there when you were working in Duved, Tegefjäll. So now when you spin around in all the positions, you get to work with everyone. You get to see the whole area.
It does sound also a lot more complicated logistically, or is that okay? Is that taken care of?
Yeah, it's a bit more complicated, obviously. But mainly we start in Rödkullen, all of us, in the morning. And then when there is enough snow, we go with our snowmobiles over to Duved and Tegefjäll over the mountains.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, in the mornings. So that's basically the biggest problem right now, is to manage to do our avalanche work in the morning before the ski lift in Duved opens at 8. That's like the biggest challenge at the moment.
So you meet up quite early then in
at 6:30 or 6:45 in the morning, depending on which shift you have. Yeah,
that is early.
Yeah, that is pretty early. And we during the winter, during the period 2, when we have open from 9 to 16:30, we work a bit more than 10 hours every day. So it's long. The days are long, but we don't work so many days a week. So normally, right now I work like 2 days, then I'm off for 2 days, then I work 3 days, then I'm off for 3 days, and so I have a lot of time to do other things as well.
Nice. That's the same for everybody in the team, I guess.
Yeah. It's basically the same for everyone who work the whole season. It's a bit different. Some people just come in and work a couple of days or a couple of weeks.
And how many are you? What does the team look like?
I think we're around like 35 or 14 totally. But that's including the persons who come in during the seasons and just do a couple of days. Yeah. Normally they have been working whole seasons before, like 10 years ago or something. Now they have new other works, other jobs, but they still want to come in and do a couple of days because it's so much fun.
Okay.
And what part are you trained to do, and what part is made, like what decisions are made by others? For example, avalanche prevention.
Yeah.
Is that something you're also in charge of? The decisions are made, like where to bomb and such things, or is that others?
It's basically every morning we have a meeting together with our supervisors, and the supervisor normally, if it's been windy during the night, if it's been westerly winds, we have to control the easterly facing hills, and so normally we sit down with the supervisors in the morning and I said, okay, it's been a lot of wind tonight, so we have to throw some dynamite there, and there. So André and Nina, you go and have a look at those hills when you're going to Duved and Tegefjäll. Look how it looks like. Do we have to do something? And normally we go there and we have a look. And if we are uncertain, we normally just throw one dynamite and see if something happens. Normally you can straight away see, okay, we have to do something here. You can see it on the snow. So we prefer to do it one more time than
better too much than enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is it fun to throw a dynamite? Do you actually throw it like in a cartoon?
We don't throw. Yeah, we actually throw it. We tie it together with the cord and we throw it out, and then you have like a long cord and you hit the bottom. Then
it's not
you don't light it up
like the cartoon.
No. I think they did that in the old good days before I started, though, a long time ago.
Yeah, and then
so more cowboy style.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And you decide where you put it though on the mountain.
Yeah, we have different spots like where we mapped out like this is a hill that we have to control this spot. So you go up and we have like a rock or a little tree that we stand by, and then we throw it out, and then we have another ski patroller down like pretty much far away, safe distance. So he can or she can say, okay, it wasn't really good, take it 2 meters higher up, or okay, take it up again and throw it out 5 meters that way. So we know where it lands. And that can be very tricky sometimes because of the weather, we don't really see much sometimes.
Yeah.
And I assume you cannot do everything by just throwing a dynamite. What are the other tricks that you use?
we try to do as much as we can with dynamite, but sometimes we have what's called that in English, en driva, a wind slap,
Yeah,
maybe,
a
Corniche.
yeah. So we can ski cut them as well, but then we have to make sure that we're actually tied to something, so we don't fall down when we ski cut it. So
You're
we
strapped in, and then you're kind of
strapped in, and we take our skis on, and we actually stomp it off.
And does that happen a lot?
Not that we fall down. Normally it goes off there, but it can happen that it goes off there. So we don't do that. We don't do that if we have a cliff drop that is 10 meters, but we can do it if it's just like 2 meters down or something. And it's
where I lived in Canada, they had like a cabin from the ski patrol, and then they had a big cannon standing there, and then like degrees.
Oh yeah.
So
we don't do
shoot.
that. No, we don't do that at all.
That seems so easy and logical.
To shoot out
the dynamite.
Yeah. Or a bomb. I don't know what kind of material they used exactly, but they had like drawn degrees all over the fencing around the cannon, so they could just point it on that degree, and then they know exactly where it's going to land.
Okay.
So it just made a lot of sense. Very easy. But I was wondering if something like that was used.
I don't know. We don't use that.
Okay.
We go with our snowmobiles up on the mountains and go from on top instead.
And how does that work in terms of the space that you cover? Is it 10 meters wide, 20, 100, that you have to put like a new dynamite all the time? Or
depending on the snow.
Yeah.
All depending on the snow. You can throw out the dynamite and nothing would happen. Just make a big hole. And sometimes when it goes off, it would go like 200 meters wide.
Just with one?
Yeah. Depending on the snowpack. Everything is depending on the instability of the snowpack, obviously.
And speaking of the instability of a snowpack, for international listeners, I think most Swedish people maybe know already how this works, but how does it work if you go off-piste as a skier or snowboarder? Like, what are the rules? Can you go everywhere? Are you saved everywhere?
Basically, we cover the mountain where you can ski to, just going like let's call that like a ski track. So if you go on randonees or like go on top, normally we don't cover that. We cover the areas where you can actually ski to. So in Tegefjäll, if you jump off the lift, you can go pretty far out into the forest and ski down there. So that area we save people in if they're injured. But sometimes it happens that we make a decision that it's not safe to go in because of avalanche risk and anything. And so then normally they come in with a police helicopter and they flew them out. So then it's the fjällräddningen, the mountain rescues, yeah.
And it's you who makes the decision.
Yeah, so yeah, if our supervisors make that call that it's not safe to go in. But if it's somewhere where actually like the backside of Åreskutan, where you actually have to walk up and then ski down. If someone get injured there, of course we're gonna go over there and help them out, take care of them. But if it's in positions where it's too far away, or if it's too unsafe for us to go in, we say no. So.
But to Skuved, for example.
Yeah. So normally we will rescue people there as well, even though you have to walk up there.
Yeah,
so we have some injuries in the forest there where we will go up and rescue people as well. Yeah, because it's in range of the system. It's very close to the system.
It's very tempting.
Yeah, and also for us, I mean, we will be there a lot faster than the mountain rescue. So yeah, I haven't during the 3 years I've been working. I only had like 1 or 2 injuries there. So I don't really know what would happen if.
And what are you trained medically to do?
So we are like, basically we have I think it's 14 days totally. So it's more like a kind of first procedure. Like you come there and we don't really, sometimes we can see that the leg is broken,
You mean like 14 days of training?
14 days of training, yeah, for just to take down persons from the mountains. It's all about taking them down from there and not making the injury worse than it already is.
Getting them safe down the mountain.
Getting them safe and leave them over to Avalanche or their transport, of course, to go into a hospital and get it checked up, because we don't really, like yesterday or a couple of days ago, I had a knee injury. Knee injuries are very common. A lot of people injure the knees. And it's very hard for me, with only 14 days of training as well, to say that something is wrong with the knee. I can see that she's in pain and she's got hard to stand on her knee. Of course, she has to go in to the hospital, but I can't really say what's wrong, But if you come to a broken leg that goes like that way, it goes down here and then goes, okay, it's off. You can see that it's broken. Then we have to make the leg straight, of course, and get them down in a pulka, in a sled.
So you're allowed to pull it back in position.
But
that's fun.
So that we train that a lot.
Yeah.
So then we have to be two as well. One that's holding position the leg up here, and the other one actually.
Was that scary to do that the first time?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really scary. Because you have to do it. Otherwise, we can't get the person down in the sled. And also, for the persons that you do it, when you do it right, normally there's a little pain relief in that as well. When it gets back in position.
Can you do it wrong?
Yeah, of course you can do it wrong. And we always have to listen to the person there. We always say that's the answer. If I'm doing it on Tim and he feels relieved, okay, this is good. But if he starts screaming more and more and more, we have to figure out another way to do it. So those times we can see where the avalanche, where the medics are from the Avalanche when they're coming, and we can snowmobile down and get one of them up so they can give him pain relief before we do it, because we're not allowed to give any medicines or medications prior, because we don't have the proper education for that.
And does this situation happen a lot?
Yeah. If they're if it's big injuries, if they smashed into trees and both legs are broken, for example.
Does that happen?
Yeah, that happens. We got a lot of trees on this mountain.
Yeah, still.
The tree injuries are
in my head.
common.
You can avoid trees most of the time, but I've
normally
heard
I feel like you drop a cliff or something and you land a little bit backwards and you have no control and just run into a tree
okay.
Ouch. Yeah.
So that hurts.
That does hurt.
The trees are pretty hard.
Yeah. How does one typical day look like? Is there always a broken bone, or
we don't have any typical days at all?
Okay.
So
that's part of the fun.
Yeah, it's part of the fun. You never know what's gonna happen, But during peak seasons like Christmas and New Year, and then when we have the breaks, the winter breaks, week 7, 8, 9, 10, especially 7, 8, 9, when we have a lot of guests here, it happens more because there is a lot of guests in the systems. I mean, there can be like 13,000 guests one day. So obviously there's going to be a lot of injuries and maybe an avalanche alarm. Also a lot of kids that lose their parents that we have to locate again. Things like that.
Okay. Does that go well?
Yeah, it always goes well.
Yeah.
During those 3 years, for me at least, it's been well. Yeah, but it's not very uncommon because if you ski in Tegefjell with all the fun forest slopes with the kids go into a little track and then they end out somewhere else, and the parents go that way, and then the kid is over there at that ski lift.
Yeah.
So it's not very uncommon at all. So then we get a call that we have a little kid here missing his parents, and we have to go around and look for the parents, or go and get the kid and then look for the parents.
You have to deal with a lot of drunk après-ski people as well?
Yeah, a bit during ski weeks when there's a lot of students here.
Yeah,
especially week 3, 4, 5, I think.
Okay,
a lot of students from the universities. Then we have to deal with a lot of drunk people.
Do they break stuff? Because I always think when you're drunk, you don't break easily. Or is it a myth?
Yeah, if they break their arms and stuff, normally you don't really ski when they're that drunk. That's good. Normally just lie down in the snow, and we have to go get them so they don't freeze to death.
Okay.
And we have to make sure they fall down like 30 times and they can't really get down. We have to make sure that they get down before they injure themselves.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of different kind of work.
Yeah, that sounds.
But
really fun.
we're there for the guests. Obviously, we make sure that the guests at the mountain have a good time and a safe time. That's like our main priority.
And do you feel like you can cover everything, or that is there moments where like we should be more people? Or
I haven't really felt that during the 3 years. No,
nice.
It feels like we're enough to cover everything. Sometimes it's very hectic, like you have injuries and things happen the whole day. But I think that's fun as well. I think I prefer that than a day when you have nothing to do and you just sit there drinking coffee, waiting for something happen.
Does that happen too?
That happens too, yeah.
Yeah.
During low seasons, like you have basically nothing to do. But there's always something that you can do. You can, and also we have to. During the day, we should put our skis on, so we shouldn't be on our snowmobile so much. We should actually ski more than we're on our snowmobile, but I think you see us more on the snowmobile because that's when you hear when a snowmobile is coming more. If you don't really see us if we're sitting in a ski lift with our skis on, but we try to ski as much as possible. And in Åre especially, we try to always take our skis down to the injured person first, for like a first, okay, what can we do here? And because there's sometimes you come with a snowmobile, you put more people on risk when you drive snowmobile in the slopes, and you put yourself on risk because things happens with the snowmobiles. You can tip over, you can flip over, you can run into someone. So it's actually preferable to go on skis. And then we always, if we're not certain how we're gonna get down the person, we always do it by sled and skis. Like normally skis and sled are like the safest and best way to get people down. Than to actually put them up on a snowmobile. Sometimes people never been on a snowmobile, and I lean that way and they lean the other way. It's kind of tricky to take persons down sometimes. So
can you ever do a day on a snowboard?
Yeah, I've done that a couple of times. Especially working in Tegefjell, it feels like it's a little bit calmer there. So, I mean, most things happen in Åre because there is more people there. And the Tegefjell are sometimes a bit calmer, but sometimes when things happens there, we're less people there. So then we have to work more than if you work in Åre. But you can definitely take down injured persons on a snowboard as well. But sometimes mainly it's always preferable doing it by skis because you can reach people easier. If you have to go cross the mountain a bit more, you can do that a lot better on skis than on snowboards.
And so you're also allowed to patrol the off-piste kind of on your own time, deciding on where you want to go, and you do that
all the time.
Yeah, so it's fun.
It's fun. We get to ski a lot on work. So we are encouraged to ski a lot.
What people who mostly have skied in the Alps don't know as well is that there's a lot of fireplaces here, in like the positive campfire places where you can grill a sausage.
Yeah.
And if I understood well, is your job as well to turn those on?
Before it was our work as well, but now they actually put that on a different employees group. So now it's basically the persons. The people who are working in the ski lifts that light the fires as well.
Makes more sense.
Yeah, but we do it. We still do it a lot, obviously, because we help each other out. If they have a really busy day, they're pretty locked on their positions as well. If there is a lot of people coming, they can't really move from the lift. They have to help people. So then normally they will call us and say, okay, can you just swing by and light the fire? And when we do that, we pretty much help out if we can help out, obviously.
And if your day is done, you throw away the skis and you put on a snowboard?
I put on a snowboard instead. Yeah, always.
You never go...
I never go skiing on spare time. Never. Not even cross-country skiing. I don't own any I don't own any skis at all.
No? All right.
Just a lot of snowboards.
Nice.
Yes.
What's your favorite snowboard at this point in time?
Like what kind of?
Yeah, what kind of? I'm just bought a new one yesterday, so I'm kind of in the middle of the process of thinking.
But I ride all the snowboards from this brand, from Vamana.
Vamana?
Yes, Vimona. It's called in Yeah, it's a Norwegian brand, and it's a friend of mine
Mm.
who has that brand. So I have a deal that I try to help him out, and in exchange I get free snowboards from.
Oh, so you have a big range of different
So I have
types.
but I really enjoy actually, even though I don't really go in the parks anymore, in the snow parks, I still enjoy going on a snow park board, because normally they're not as stiff, they're pretty soft. I'm a very lighted person, so I prefer not like a snowboard that's not too stiff, and which is like a playful snowboard where I can just jump around on the side hits and carve a bit, but mostly just play. I like to play a lot when I snowboard.
Nice.
So I would say, obviously now I went with my split board up on the mountain yesterday just to go for a walk, but the snow out there is just terrible. But obviously I would prefer split board every day a week if I was able to go off-piste snowboarding in good snow every day.
Okay. So for you, it's split boarding number one, and then
and then I have my park snowboard, and then I have a kind of, I don't know, like just powder snowboard, like a big ass wide powder snowboard for that, and also like a little bit more of a old mountain carver snowboard. But I'm not really a big carver, so I'm not about being first at the ski lift in the morning just to go on the groomers. Like, no, I don't really see any fun in that. I want soft, playful, fun snow with small bumps where I can just play around.
It's related to the surf.
Maybe, I think,
a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. But it's the same for me when I'm surfing. I'm not a big wave fan at all. I hate big waves. I hate to be afraid in the water. I like it at all. I want to have small, clean, fun waves where I can play around, doing some small 360 spins and just go around in the white water and out again. And a lot of turning.
Where's the best you've surfed?
Where's the best? Oh, that's a tricky one.
Maybe your memory.
No, but I mean, the latest surf I went was a surf trip to Angola this autumn, and that was a really good wave, like really proper, long, good waves. But I would say, so that was fresh in my memory so that was good. But I would maybe say Peru. Peru is in South America.
Two countries already that I would not associate immediately with like good surfing.
No.
Angola and Peru.
Peru has got really nice surf, like Peru and Chile, like the whole west coast of South America.
Nice.
Chile is a little bit colder, but long, like really long, powerful waves. Peru is a little bit warmer in the water, not so much big waves, smaller waves, but still like really long, good point breaks, which I prefer.
I saw you got your kids into snowboarding, or is your family also into surfing?
Yeah, I'm trying to get them into surfing as well. That's like the biggest mission I have in my life.
Nice.
To make the kids actually want to go away and surf. And last winter, I still remember because it was so much fun. My youngest kid, Odd, he could sit at the breakfast table in the middle of winter. It'd be dark outside, and he would just woke up. He was sitting eating his bowl of cereals, and he would go like, "Dad, I want to go to France and surf." And I was like, "Yeah,
how old
let's go."
How old is he?
He's turning 6 in January, so he's 5 now, so he's almost 6. And both of them really enjoy playing in the water like most kids. And I try to just make the whole surfing experience with them all about having fun. It should always be like safe, shallow water, small fun waves, no wind, sunshine.
It's not that easy to find those.
Yeah, it's if you know where to look.
Yeah,
it's
that's
pretty.
a good point.
It's not too hard actually.
What is a good place to teach kids to surf?
I would say like where our favorite place now with the kids is let's see, what will be northwest of France, Britannia. So all the way out there on, like, you have England on that side and you have France on that side, and it's all the way out there because they have a lot of protected small bays. And also it's very easy to sleep there and park with our camper van, because normally it's 24 hours parking. You can park for free. You can sleep in your van just at the beach, but you can't camp. So as soon if you put out like a picnic table or chair, the police will come say, up, it's not a camping. You can sleep here, be in, like inside and eat and go to the toilet in your camper van, go down, use the beach, but it's not a camping spot, So for that reason, it's also very easy to be there and like a lot of protected small bays. So if the wind were blowing that way, you just go around on the other side and you have a sheltered bay here. And you have small waves swinging around into that bay, and then it's going to be small and clean. And also you have the time, what's called tide water. Yeah, the tides, ebb and flood in Swedish. The tides, the tides are so big. The difference are so big there. So when it's high tide, it's normally like good surf for me. The waves are bigger because you're going to be deeper, the water. And then when the tides pushes out, the waves are going to be smaller for the kids, and that changes 2 times every day. So normally you're going to have like 2 surf sessions with the kids and 1 or 2 for yourself. So it's like a perfect setup. You can go surfing bigger waves, and then you just wait a couple of hours, and then it's going to be small waves with the kids. So it's a really good
Because
setup.
you guys have a really nice camper. You drive around town. It's gray. People have seen it probably.
Yeah, you normally see our camper when we come. So yeah, we have a really nice camper.
What was your Instagram name again?
Happy Family in a Van.
There you go. Happy Family in a Van.
Love to have more followers, of course. we're not very busy on our Instagram, but we've been out. The whole Instagram for our family started when we were planning to be away for 2 years when the kids were small. Our smallest one, Odd, was 6 months, and our oldest was 3.5. So we were planning to go away for 2 years, and that's when we started the Instagram account for that trip.
How was that trip? Where did you go?
But planning doesn't sound that it didn't work, or you actually went for it?
Yeah, we went. Yeah, we went for. But the problem, 2019, we were living in Gothenburg, and we decided prior that we were going away, and then we were saving a lot of money, and then in the summer, July of 2019, we just emptied our apartments in Gothenburg, put all the furniture out on the yard outside, and like a number, like pay whatever you want.
Like garage sale.
So we just cleaned our apartment, and then we moved into our camper van, and we sat down, and it's like, okay, where are we going? Now we have 2 years where we're going. So first we were driving around a bit in Sweden because it was such a nice summer that year. And then after that, when it got a little bit colder in end of August, we left going south, and then it took us almost 3 months to go the whole coastline down to Spain. So we went like Denmark and Germany and Holland, Belgium, and France the whole way, like the whole coastline for 3 months. Very slow pace.
So you surfed in the Netherlands?
Yeah, we surfed in the Netherlands. Yeah,
nice.
Surfed in the Netherlands. Yeah. And so we did that, and then our plan from the beginning was to go up to Åre during the winter season and to rent a smaller apartment just to come out inside when it was cold. So we did that. We went up to Åre in December or something, and then in spring 2020, everybody know that Corona hit, and we were stuck here. Not a bad place to be stuck, obviously, because things were open here, so it was still easy to be here. But then our plan from the beginning was to go down to the Mediterranean in April, and then go the Mediterranean side, the coastline line, all the way down to Portugal, and then spend the next winter in Portugal. So that was kind of tricky, what to do, because Europe was closed. People were dying everywhere, of course, because it was an epidemic. So we had to hang around in Sweden the whole summer 2020 as well, because Europe was closed. And then when they opened up Europe in July, we stayed a little bit longer here in Sweden just to make sure everything was fine. And then in August, we drove straight down to Portugal. And so our plan was still to be able to be there during the winter time. But I mean, Europe, it was chaos. Like people were still dying everywhere. The hospitals was just overfull. Everything. We were driving through Spain, and the police would just put up roadblocks and like, stop. You're not allowed into the town. The whole town is closed. You have to drive around. And then when we were going down to the beach and surf, we have to put our face mask on, obviously, the kids as well. We were walking down with face masks and wetsuits and surfboards, and then they will have like a gated beach, and then they'll have a guard there and we were sitting actually seeing how many people are at the beach. And then if there were too many, it would say, stop, you're not allowed onto the beach. And the playgrounds were closed. If the kids were trying to play at the playground, the police would come and say, okay, you're not allowed to be here. So
this is just very funny, or maybe not funny, not fun for you at least. But we were there during COVID, and we had such a different experience.
Yeah, it felt so free and open. And
yeah?
there was no restrictions.
Which
but now
months
I'm thinking what year it was and what time it was. Exactly.
During the biggest lockdown period, so that was start 2020, I think.
Yeah.
That's when we just sold our big American school bus.
Mm.
Then it was heavy quarantine for like 6 months. Nobody could move anywhere.
No.
But then in July that year, they opened the border to France.
Yeah.
We immediately went into France. Then we went surfing there, a bit like Mimizan and those places.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Spain opened up, we went into Spain. And then we went around the coast, like Galicia, Cantabria, the north, the Basque country.
Yeah, we went to Basque country, but from there we kind of drove straight through Spain to get to Portugal.
Yeah,
in Portugal, we were then the longest.
Portugal was a bit better, but still the
Yeah.
playgrounds were closed in Portugal when we were there. We were not allowed to be there
but
with
the beach
kids.
was.
Yeah, the beaches were open in
fine.
Portugal, but
Yeah.
like for us, France was better. We were there at the same time then in Mimizan because we were there as well.
Yeah.
When you were there, because those were not closed.
And
but
masks, I think, were not. In Spain, you didn't have to, or same in Portugal. I think you didn't have to wear a mask under 6 years old.
yeah, it's same for.
So we didn't do that, and then So
We
in
have-
the end, we had quite a positive experience because the news was really bad, but locally there, it was quite like everybody was just having a good surfing life. Like,
Okay,
it wasn't that bad.
we didn't really experience that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we had a different experience.
Yeah, so that I found it very fascinating as well.
And we were sitting in Portugal and thinking, okay, what happens if it's going to be worse now? You know, I mean, we can be here now, obviously, but if it's going to be a lockdown this winter as well, it felt too unsafe to stay there.
Yeah.
So because of that experience we felt like, okay, maybe we shouldn't be here.
Mm.
So we had to end our.
You went back to Sweden. Then.
Yeah, so then we took a decision in Portugal in October 2020, after like almost 1 year or 4 months or something on the road, that, okay, let's take our last bit of money and move to Åre. If we're going to move to Åre, we have to do it now probably, because if we continue our journey for another 6 months, we're not going to have any money left when we get back to Sweden.
Mm.
So
but it was never the plan to go to Åre in the end.
No, it was not a plan at all. Like, it was a plan to be here during the winter, of course.
Yeah.
And for me, my wife, she lived in Gothenburg when we met 10 years ago, or a bit more now, 15 years ago. Yeah. And I moved to Gothenburg from Norway, and I never really felt at home in Gothenburg. So, and after we had kids, my wife also started to feel that, okay, now Gothenburg is not as much fun as it was before when I was single and having other life here, you know. So we had a little plan that, okay, we're going to go out travel for 2 years, and then we're going to see where do we want to move to. So that was like a plan from the beginning. But our plan was from the beginning that maybe we come back to Gothenburg and we continue at our works that we had before if they want us back, and we'll arrange an apartment again, and then we save some money, and then we're going to move in. So for us, it was like a decision to make there in Portugal that, okay, if we're going to move to Åre directly, maybe we have to do it now. Maybe we have to see this whole thing going around here now as a sign that, okay, let's do the move.
It's time.
Yeah.
And how was it, the beginning for you to move here? Did you feel right at home? Was it an easy transition?
Yeah, it was a pretty easy transition. And for me as well, who had my teenage years, it still feels like home here in Åre, you know?
Yeah.
Even though I've been away for a lot of years after graduation, it's still home for me. Like for me, this is home, and south of Sweden is also home where I grew up pre-Åre. But we bought an apartment from Portugal without seeing it at all. So we just saw the pictures and said, okay, we have to take a chance, and we bought the apartment. So we drove basically directly from Portugal to Åre. That was a long drive.
What is it? 3,000 kilometers?
Yeah,
I think it's more. Yeah,
3.5 or 3 points.
Yeah, it's it's very long.
And that was with the camper you have now, or was it?
No, it was our old camper van. We had another camper van, and the first camper van that we bought, that we went with that trip on. We were not really satisfied with that camper van, and then on our way back home, we stopped at different camper van dealers in Germany and had a look at this camper van that we have now, and we said, okay, we want this. We want to have this tank, like proper. It's not gonna break, it's gonna go everywhere,
and it looks less like a camper. It's more like
an off-road vehicle.
Off-road vehicle.
It's a 4x4 with higher setup, right?
It's a 4x4 with like pretty much the bigger. I think you can put one bigger dimension on the tires, but pretty much the biggest dimension, and then it's raised about 10 centimeters.
It's kind of like an off-road vehicle. Have you ever had to use it in that way as well?
Just for fun.
Fun.
To be honest, yeah. But up here, it's during like the winter times when there will be a lot of snow. We always use it. Like if we're just going down from our street down to E14, we use it. Or we go home uphill.
And you use it as a car?
Yeah, we use it. Yeah, I use it. I drive that one, and then my wife drives another car. So,
but I mean, you never went on an adventure where
no,
you
we haven't really.
it.
Yeah, in France, on the beach, and also like on not on the beach, but around the beach in sandy conditions, and also in Denmark, you're allowed to drive on the beach in some places. So there we went as well, a little bit just try it out. Sand is always difficult though.
Have you ever gotten stuck?
Not really, but very close though. And also in Norway, last year, we found like in Norway they have really small, fun mountain roads where you can go. But still, it's just me who actually want to go on those adventures. My wife and the kids, they just want to go from point A to B and be parked on a good spot. I'm mostly the one who want to cross some creeks or, and just like, oh, let's go there, let's go, look at that, let's go. Oh, I want to try this. Like, no. But I'm hoping that when the kids get older, maybe they want to do a little bit more of overlanding experience, like where we actually look where does the road end? Let's go in here,
Have you anything in mind to like a longer trip?
Not an off-road trip, no, not. But I mean, if we have money and time, it would be so much fun to go down to Africa with our van.
And we've been thinking about it. We can go together.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, go down to Morocco, and then I mean, there is a lot of really nice off-roading to do, and also really nice surf and warm. But it's long. It's a long drive to go down there.
Do you have any advice for people who want to buy a camper? Now you've experienced different kind of...
I don't know. I think for maybe just to look at the budget and be reasonable, like how much can we afford to spend? For us, at the first time, when we bought our first camper, with our first plan was to build it ourselves. And then we kind of figure out that we have no time to do that because it takes a lot of time. And then we have to sit down and look. And we went to look at so many different campers. And I would say that even though you look, I mean, we were around looking at so many different campers, and we bought a camper that we thought was going to be perfect for our needs, but it wasn't.
In what way?
We had first, like, it was a little bit smaller, and we had a 4-wheel drive on that one as well, but it was a Citroën jumper that was not working very well at all with the 4-wheel drive. So when we tried to go on the small off-road adventures, it was pretty much dead end. We have to go back again. And also in that one, we had bunk beds in the back. And now I know that they do this better, but we bought it 2017 something. Yeah. The top bed, top bunk bed was so narrow from the ceiling to the bed that it was kind of hard to be up there at all. And the other bed, you couldn't really sit up and read with the kids because it was too narrow there as well. And because of that, because of the two beds back there, you don't have a lot of space to pack your gears underneath. So then we had to look at different options. So now we have the pop-up roof, which a pop-up roof where you pop up the whole roof and you sleep on top, which is kind of a roof tent kind of thing. And we think that's really a good call because we have a lot of extra space once we parked.
So you have two solid beds.
Two solid beds back
beds.
there, which is pretty much really high up. So we have a lot of packing gear, like where we can pack our gear, room to pack our gear. And the only minus with the pop-up roof is obviously that if you go camping in the winter, it's a lot colder than in a normal camper van.
Do you manage to get everything in the van?
Well, we have to put a lot of things outside the van. We have to work with systems that we can put things on back of the doors and then on top of the pop-up roof. And that, like when we have the surfboards on top of the pop-up roof, from the beginning, if we had 4 boards there, it wouldn't really open. So we have to change the gas springs on the side in order to open, So you have to do a little modification. So I think like if you want to buy a camper van, a new camper van, it would be impossible to buy something that's perfect from the beginning. It doesn't exist. If you want to buy a camper van and go on camp spots and barbecue and just sit outside, obviously you can find, you will be satisfied with whatever you buy. But if you want to take gear with you, if you want to do stuff, like if you want to bring the mountain bikes, 4 mountain bikes and gear for mountain bikes and surfboards and wetsuits, it's just, and if you don't want like a really big camper van, which we don't want because we want it to be pretty small still, so we can be able to park everywhere, go everywhere, fit everywhere, then it's hard, You have to.
Do you think that the one you have right now is kind of fitting all of those criteria, or you still
not really?
Still
Sometimes it feels like we should have a bigger camper van.
Yeah,
but we have made like kind of a decision that okay, if we're going away mountain biking, then we're only going away mountain biking.
Yeah.
If we're going away surfing, we go away only surfing. We focus on that instead.
That makes sense.
Because it's kind of hard to fit all the things and then be able to still live in the van as well. I mean, you have to have a little bit of spare room where you can move around.
Yeah, it's a decision to make. I think we had our camper was 7 meters almost, a little bit less, 6.95. And we lived in it full time for 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
With a dog, 2 kids. And then there were 2 electric bikes on the back, one running bike for a kid, I think, or a little bike. And then we had, all the snowboards and skis were in there in the garage. And we had 2 surfboards with us, which we kind of put on the bed every day. It was very annoying. But it kind of it worked in summer for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then we moved here, I remember, and we started emptying as soon as we rented this house, we started emptying the camper, and we were just so amazed by how much came out. It's like never ending.
Never ending story.
Of stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. I know I've done the kind of like before and after pictures as well. We put all the gears outside the van. Like, okay, this is going inside the van. And then you put everything in, and then you actually managed to squeeze everything in.
It is crazy how much.
It's really crazy. Yeah. But like Val said, moving around the surfboards every evening, it's kind of stressful.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, you want to keep it easy. And now we went with the Jeep and a rooftop tent.
Yeah.
And we had to make a decision. Like we couldn't bring the bikes. We could bring them, but then it would be more stuff. And so we decided to just make it a hiking camping trip.
Yeah.
And then save the biking part for another trip and just spread it.
But now the new plan is to get a trailer.
Yes. And then put everything.
Put the bikes on there. Yeah, because you always want to do stuff, right?
When you're on the road. That's a problem. Yeah. I think that with people like us who want to go away and do things with our kids, it's not only about putting like parking and just barbecuing. We want to do things. We want to bring our gears.
We found this really cool trailer called Cuckoo. I don't know if I pronounce it well, but it's a German brand, I think.
Okay.
Kuckoo.
Okay, yeah.
And it has a rooftop tent on there as well.
Okay, yeah.
But it's more like a caravan, but then it looks pretty cool. And I think it also has better tires under it. Like it's like a sturdy trailer caravan.
And it's under 750. I think it's still like you can drive it without
Still
having
light
extra.
enough. And you can put bikes on there. And it's like a living room kind of inside.
So they have like two kind of sleeping spots with sleeping places with you as well.
And you can still put a rooftop tent on your car that's dragging the thing.
So you get that, and then we drive to Morocco.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Perfect.
Let's do this.
And we have actually, speaking of that, we had like we said before, like I said before, that if we go on a mountain bike trip, we do that. If we go on a surf trip, we do that. Now we actually have a new plan for next summer where we can maybe do both. So our new plan is that if we pack everything here on the van, and then we drive south and we go to mountain bike resorts like Trysil in Norway or Sälen in Sweden and mountain bike with the kids. We do the mountain bike with the kids through Sweden, and then we leave our mountain bike gears at our parents' house in South Sweden, and then we go to France surfing. And then when we come back, we just pick up the mountain gears and we go mountain biking on our way home again.
Nice.
So maybe there is a chance that we actually can do both.
That sounds really good. But if you go to France, then you can also go mountain biking in the Alps.
Yeah, I know that's bad. But again, you have to make the sacrifices. Yeah. And also, like my oldest daughter Nualu said last summer when we were going away, we were talking about mountain bikes again in Norway, surfing. Okay, should we bring both? And then my daughter said, "But Dad, we can mountain bike every day during the summer here, but we can't surf." So it's like, true, really true. I know we have a really good mountain bike park here where we do a lot of mountain biking. Obviously, we should focus on going surfing instead when we go away. So
you have a smart daughter.
Very smart daughter. Yeah. She thinks a lot. She thinks more than her dad, I think.
Oh, she's very cute. I have a very random question, but completely back to the ski and snowboard world, but it's been lingering on my head. You have to go to work when you have to work. And that can be very cold.
Yeah, it can be very cold.
It can be minus 24, minus 30, feeling temperature, maybe minus 35. I don't know. It can get really cold. And there's people that live in countries that are listening right now, like England, Netherlands, Belgium, France, I don't know, that always wonder how you survive the Arctic cold. And I think you maybe know. You might have figured it out. How do you deal with it?
I just put on warm clothes. That's how you do it. I have a colleague who always say that if you freeze, you're either lazy, cheap, or dumb.
I like this one.
So he said, okay, if you freeze, he says cheap, lazy, and dumb. Yeah. So if you freeze because you haven't put out, if you don't buy if you don't buy good clothes, then you freeze. You're cheap. You don't buy good clothes. And if you don't want to buy clothes, you have to move around a lot in order to stay warm. If you don't do that, then you're lazy. And if you don't do anything of those, you're just dumb.
I think this is a very good explanation of how to survive.
So that's how to survive, I guess. I think just like put on a lot of warm clothes. I would say like I put on more clothes than you think you need. But the hardest thing is always obviously your hands and your feet.
Do you use like the little bags in your gloves?
No, I don't do that actually.
Are you against it, or are you?
I'm actually pretty like my my hands are always pretty warm, even though it's cold out. So I don't really have a problem with that. And then like I have my ski boots are a little bit bigger than they should be, so they can fit like 2 thick socks instead when it's cold.
Okay.
So you have to think that maybe you should have a little bit more comfortable ski boots where you're a little bit warmer than you actually had a pair
I've
of
never done that, like 2 pairs of socks, and that works.
It works for a while, then you get cold on the feet again. So, and also like those cold days, if we have to go up on the mountain and do the avalanche control work with dynamats and that, I mean, then you get cold. Like obviously you're going to be very cold.
Yeah.
So after 2 hours, you have to go in and warm your feet. You wouldn't be able to be outside the whole day without coming in and get a bit warm.
But there sometimes it must happen, right, before the resort opens, or you have deadlines.
Of course. And I know a lot of colleagues, they have ski socks with warm, like the heating ski socks. I'm a little bit too cheap to buy those. I think they're too expensive. I prefer having double socks. I think, but I think those ones are good quality.
So
good
this
coats.
is a hint for your next birthday present.
No, I don't get any presents.
I actually was surprised that I do have the insoles that have a battery attached that you put in the outside of your boot.
Yeah.
And I think I sold them. I have them already for 3 winters and they still work.
Okay.
Got them as a present for my parents for Christmas 2 years ago. But you can find them now for like 500 krona, so 50 euros. I sold them last winter. So they
for the battery pack or for like the
with
whole
the sole,
everything. Okay.
So there you go. Maybe it is an investment.
Maybe it should be a
little investment.
I think I'm too cheap still. I'd rather buy some stuff for my kids instead. I think
that's very kind.
I think yeah. Also, it's just at work where I will be that cold. I think normally I'm never that cold in snowboard boots. For me, snowboard boots are a lot warmer than
that's true.
Than
They're
ski
definitely
boots.
warmer.
The plastic doesn't really isolate the way as a snowboard boot would do. I think I don't know. I'm just guessing now, but it feels normally I'm always warmer in my snowboard boots than I'm in ski boots.
Is there anything you're looking forward to in this upcoming winter?
I look forward to going more splitboard tours because last winter I was working both in the ski patrol and then basically like all my free days I had a lot of works to do for the city of Gothenburg as well. So last winter I worked a lot, like really a lot. So I didn't have really much time to go on any good splitboard tours. I think I went like 1 or 2 the whole winter. So that's why I started early yesterday and thought, okay, I have to do more splitboarding tours this winter.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that.
Anything in particular that you have in mind?
Like where to go, like mountains. I prefer going on slopes or hills or mountains where there is a lot of trees, and I'm not really a big fan of going all the way up on the mountain. I prefer to just to stay in the tree line and splitboard from there. Normally here in Åre, that's where the good snow is, and I really love snowboarding in the forest. So going up at Renfjället is always a really nice run.
On the other side of the mountain.
Yeah, and also further over to Kalvsjön, there is a couple of places where it's not high at all. You just go in and you go up 30 minutes and one run down and then go up again a couple of times. Very accessible and fun rides. You can also there go higher up on the mountains, but normally there is no snow there. It's normally just wind-packed and ice.
Are you taking your kids yet on those missions or not?
My daughter, she's both snowboarding and skiing, and she has a pair of like an inserts for her skis where and skins underneath. So last season we went on 2 or 3 hikes.
Really?
So it's like a insert binding that you put in your binding that makes you able to do
so
ski.
They're heavy as shit though.
Okay.
But she thinks it's lots of fun. So you just click in the insert and put on skins on her normal kind of skis, so she can wear her normal skis and normal boots. And then we did 2 small hikes here in Tegefjäll. Over there, yeah. Not there. And I look forward to do more hikes with her as well. Like it's still very short and still very fun and always safe. Like I wouldn't take her out in any avalanche terrain or obviously, but there is some really good, safe, fun, like still good snow runs where you can take your kids.
Have you had to rescue anybody from an avalanche yet?
No, luckily not.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Your colleagues?
My colleagues, and people who have been working many years than me have been on. They've been rescuing people from avalanches. Or normally, sad enough, when we show up, it's not always too late, but normally it would be too late. You know, if you're in avalanche, the best like the the best chance for you to survive is that if your friends dig you up, you know. So that's why you should never ride alone. You should always ride with your friends. You should always be familiar with the transceiver and the shovel and the sonde, actually. So probe, it's called it. Yeah, shovel and the probe and the transceiver. So you actually manage to save your friends instead. Because if we will go in snowboarding and Tim will go into an avalanche, we will have critical minutes where we can actually find him. Before the ski patrol shows up, somebody has to put the alarm, they ring the alarm, it's going to take a little bit more longer, and then we have to gather us before we go there. You know, we're talking about 15, maybe 20 minutes before we're there. So the best chances to survive if you're saved by your friends.
Because the window is kind of like that.
It's very narrow.
Very narrow, 5 to 10.
So we have like the first 15 minutes are like the most critical ones.
Yeah.
And if we're able to do it within the first 5 minutes, we have a bigger survivor rate. Yeah. It goes down pretty quickly.
What is the most avalanche prone side of which mountain here in the area?
It all depends on what kind of winds have been blowing, obviously.
But there's not one that goes off every year or like that.
But I think in like up, they were talking about Tiskuvet before. The canyon behind Tiskuvet, which is called Gunilravin, there is always a lot of avalanches in that canyon. Always, like the whole side, the whole easterly facing side, and then the avalanche, like the steep part going down into the canyon is always. We always have avalanches there.
It's quite exposed, and it's always, I guess, wind affected.
Yeah. But are you also dynamiting that area, or is that not within your bounds?
No, we're not dynamiting up there because it's too far away to actually get there. Sometimes we do avalanche control a bit further west on that mountain because you can actually go all the way out there with skis. But up here, we don't do anything because then there you have to walk up.
Long time.
And also, actually, I take that back. We had an avalanche last year in Duvet where I was.
I remember that.
Yeah, but I didn't have to save anyone. But there were an avalanche with a father and a son that actually they went completely wrong.
Yeah.
And they knew that they shouldn't be there, and then the avalanche went off, and then they went with the avalanche through the forest and then over the 2-meter cliff, and then they just landed and they walked out of there.
So they were
very lucky. Yeah. But we pulled a big avalanche alarm, and we were there obviously, and I was first on spot. So, but I didn't have to rescue them, so that's
good.
That felt good.
But is there a place that you think that people overestimate, that they think it's safe, but it's way more accidents happens than they think? You know what I mean? Like
I think there are a lot of places here.
Okay.
A lot of places. Also, if you go in Åre, and if you go from high zone, it's called the high zone. If you go there and you just go through the forest down towards Rödkullen or Bräcke again, you have smaller areas, pockets, and bigger actually hill parts where the avalanches could go off very easily, and you will go down into the trees, and then you will hurt yourself. Maybe you wouldn't get buried, but you could still get smashed into a tree and get crushed. So people die from that as well. It's not always being buried. So that's probably, and also like I said before, up on Tiskuvet, if Fjällvalls lift and the old lift going up on the mountain, when that one is open, you can so much easily just boot up between the two Tiskuve, the two tops there. It's like a very short walk. And then you can snowboard down through Gunilravin, which I said before is a lot of avalanches going. I would say it's pretty lucky I haven't worked so many years, so obviously it could have happened something up there. But sometimes it feels like, you shouldn't just... People walk up there very easily with no transceiver, with no probe, with no shovels, because it feels pretty safe, but it's not safe.
Yeah.
And in terms of safety, is there an information channel that they can follow, or that you can talk to you, for example? Is there a
they can always talk
point?
to us if they meet us, and they do. A lot of guests always stop us and ask questions. And also,
and you guys are not annoyed by that? Like,
no,
you're allowed
definitely
to
not.
do that?
Obviously not. We just feel guests are always feel free to ask our things, and we will pretty much also say what we know, but also there is a lot of better experts than us who work with this, like my neighbor Oscar, who does the avalanche forecasts for up here. And then you go into lavinprognoser.se, and there you can read about the current conditions, and they have like a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being the most dangerous, like the most chances that an avalanche would go off. And
is it ever 5 here? I wonder. I mean, in general, 5 is like really high.
I haven't since I mean, because I haven't been within the ski patrol in the whole like the safety thing more than the last 5 years. I wouldn't. I got no idea actually if there've been any 5s, but during those times I haven't seen any 5.
Does it ever happen here in Åre that people fall into a tree well, like you know what I mean? Like underneath a pine tree, you can create this kind of hole.
We don't have we don't have that much snow here.
Yeah, there's not enough snow,
like on some places, like I said before, over at Kalsjön, where we have like really good spots, there is actually some places like that, like a tree trap where you can fall down. I don't know if some. I don't know. I know they have that problem in other like Canada.
Yeah, in the Alps as well sometimes, and
less. I would say.
Yeah, I read an article like that.
Okay,
but it was a lot of people don't know this exists, and I think it's quite interesting and good to know as well that when there's a lot of there's a lot of snow falling around a pine tree mostly. Yeah, definitely only a pine tree. Then kind of a hole gets created around the tree. Where you don't have snow, so then if you ski into that, you often land upside down into it.
Because it's warmer around the tree and it creates like a pocket. Yeah.
And sometimes they also have like a little bridge over, so you can't really see them. Actually, it's like a really trap. You go down and you go with your head first like you said, and you get stuck hanging.
So if you're by yourself and you don't have a friend with you, then
it's a really bad idea. Yeah,
bad idea.
It's always better to have a friend. And it's always a lot more fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess it's true for most things.
Yeah,
it's more fun with friends.
And I think that we give avalanche trainings as well, but I think people should do those more, and it's even fun. Like it's not even a big task because it's quite fun with a group of friends to be searching beepers and do a little training.
I think maybe like exactly what you say. I think some people may be a little bit scared of doing it because it feels like it's going to be too hard and like a big test. But it's not. It's about having fun together with a group, and you learn pretty fast how to use the transceiver, what to think about,
and it's like it's probably the most important part because you will be saving your friends, and if you have to wait for somebody else to come, it's most likely going to be too late. So if you take a transceiver and use it for a couple of times before the winter starts, or even during the winter,
I did it with my kids yesterday.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, we do, and during Easter, it's like we dig down our Easter eggs outside in the snow, and had to use the transceiver to find them. So you can do, and also we don't really have in Sweden. It's very common that you have candy on Saturdays, lördagsgodis. We don't have that because we say that in our family we don't do that because our kids they eat too much candy during the week anyway. But I know that's like a really good thing to do with your kids. If you have a Saturday candy, just hide it and with a transceiver and do the fun activity with the kids.
I did it last year as well for a birthday.
For birthday, yeah.
So I hit some. We had lots of transceivers.
And Jägermeister.
Yeah, but also did for the adults.
But I mean, that's like it's a fun thing to do, and also still you learn how to. You teach yourself how to learn that.
And it's most important that you make sure that your friends know how to find you.
Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it? Sometimes you feel like, I know. I mean, I'm pretty safe to be here, but does they not really know how to use it? And also, you don't really. I don't know about your experience, but for me, it's been like you don't really talk about that when you go on on a splitboard tour, it's just, okay, we're going there tomorrow, and you're 4 guys, and maybe there is someone new going there, and you're 4 guys jumping into a car, and you go to a place, and you don't really talk about like, okay, Tim, how much have you used your transceiver?
Yeah.
It feels a bit, I don't know why
we
we
take it for
don't.
granted, maybe, where we shouldn't.
I got no idea, or it just feels that maybe we don't want to know.
Yeah, I think it comes from a part of insecurity maybe as well, or like if I would ask you that question, you would say, oh yeah, I haven't used it that much, and okay, but we're gonna go on a mountain now, and you know, so you're gonna be left alone, you're gonna stay behind, or I'm still gonna take you. So there's a level under that question. It's kind of basically asking, can I trust you?
And also, I mean, for you who have been working as guides, I mean, that's like, you do that. You ask you.
I would ask it for sure.
Of course, yeah.
I would 100% ask it.
Yeah. I think maybe you're better at it. For me, it's just, I don't know. You jump into a car and you go and and then he didn't really have a transceiver at all with him.
Yeah, no, that's rule number 1. They should bring that for sure.
Yeah, I think it should become more a conversation. So here you go, guys. Everybody's listening. Talk about it.
And the other
make
thing
it a game and learn. And when we start a hike guiding, we always do like a little session with the clients to make sure that they have a freshen up. Refresher of their system, and then we bury some backpacks and they have to find them. And it often only takes, let's say, 20 minutes. It's only 20 minutes extra. Everybody's refreshed on their knowledge, and then you go, and at least you know where you're. You know also if you have the right gear, if everything is in your backpack, how it works. Some people don't even know how to put a shovel together. You know, it's very simple, but if they never tried it, then
True.
And the other thing I don't see that often here are airbags. It seems like in the Alps it's kind of a normal thing to do if you go off-piste riding. Find it kind of weird that it's not become or have you another experience?
It feels like it's getting more common though.
Yeah, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it feels like it's getting more common, and we always have airbags when we work in ski patrol.
Okay, nice.
And we're always like it's a rule that we always should have them on us when we're out avalanche doing the avalanche control, or obviously if we go off piste. And also we have our first help aid kit in our backpack, so obviously we will have them on us always. But for me as well, I know for me snowboarding, splitboarding on my spare time, I only bought my first airbag backpack last year. And I think sometimes you're in a false security thinking that, for me at least, who has been doing a lot of off-piste skiing, snowboarding since I was 16, you feel like, okay, I'm just going I'm going here in the trees, you know, nothing's going to happen, or it's not steep enough, this is not big enough, it hasn't been snowing enough. You find different reasons why you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I guess that's also okay in some way. There is a certain knowledge of security and like the knowledge you gained over the years. And
of course,
there are moments when you're allowed to say, this is okay.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And if I were going snowboarding without bindings, I normally always go up in the, it's the good snow is in the trees, so I normally only stay where it's not as steep and where there is only trees, and then I wouldn't bring a air backpack. No. So sometimes.
Do you see yourself doing this for a long time, the ski patrol thing?
I hope so.
Yeah.
As long as we live here, at least.
Yeah.
Is there a way to grow? I don't say you have to grow in it, but is there a way like you can kind of grow to a position?
Yeah. So this is the first year where I actually gonna be able to handle the dynamite. Like before, you can tag along when people with license throw out dynamite, but now this year is the first year I also have a license now after a course this autumn. And so there's like different steps after you've been working a couple of years where you can grow. And also some who have been working longer, they can like do more avalanche rescue courses, and also like an avalanche technician. Some of them are there as well. So there is some, like you can definitely grow.
Nice.
And also you can have positions where you have a little bit more, if you have more experience, you have a little more responsibility. you're not the supervisor, but you will be the one first in charge at an avalanche, for example, stuff like that. So,
and is it easy to get into if I'm like a guy living in Stockholm and I want to move up here, I want to become a ski patrol? Or
it feels like it's kind of hard.
It's hard.
Yeah. Like this is just my
in what way is it hard, you mean?
I think they have a lot of applications for it, you know?
Okay.
They have a lot of competent people who are applying for it, and also it's preferable like if you have been working in the resort before. Like people have maybe been in the lift for 2 years, or they've been working as a guide in here, or they've been working as a ski teacher or something like that. They will have a little bit more like a VIP line into the ski patrol after
also
that.
Maybe because it's all ski stars.
So it's all ski star as well. So
it's not that easy to just start working.
No, I wouldn't say that. And I think what I've heard from before, like they had like a kind of like rule that you should have been working in the lift for a couple of years before, or like managing the snow canyons in pre-seasons, or working as a technician, whatever, you know, before.
It's kind of like a step up.
Yeah. But I think that's what I've heard, how it was before.
Yeah, okay.
There's also quite a lot of girls doing the job from what I've seen. That's pretty cool.
But it's still, I think it's still like man dominated. And I know that the girls working, they have like an organization for females working within Avalanche, for example.
What do you mean they have a specific
organization? Now they're gonna hang me for not knowing the name of this because they talk about it. But yeah, like it's mostly men working in this ski patrol in the Avalanche. So
they created their own
little organization to support and support female workers, and also to get more females to do the work.
Okay.
So still there is, I mean, in the ski patrol, I would say there's a lot of females working here in Åre, but I mean, generally over the whole world or in Europe, it would be.
I was going to say, because in the Alps, it's only male, at
maybe
least in my mind, maybe it's changed. But when I came here in Åre, I was like, oh, there's lots of girls as well doing this. So that's nice.
And they do as good a job as any man.
Of course,
so.
Nice.
And is it physically very demanding? Like
it can be, definitely. If it's challenging terrain that we're actually gonna get someone down. If they're in a tree, like I had a friend of mine a couple of years ago before I worked, who was pretty much, he flew into a tree and broke both his legs hanging upside down into the tree. And they had, and that was like pretty steep, a lot of snow. So the ski patrol was there, and my other friends were there obviously as well, because they were there when it happened. So kind of tricky to get him down from the tree, and tricky to get him down through the forest, and to actually get him to a spot where the avalanche could pick him up and stuff like that. So sometimes it can be very tricky, especially when there is trees and forest involved, which a lot of time it is, because people crash into the trees. So
have you found any way that really works for you to keep your physical and mental health in check, like to take care of it on your off time?
No, I'm just trying to. You get a lot of exercise at work, so you stay pretty physical at work.
Yeah.
And then the other part in going around in your head, because you see a lot of things. Obviously, we have a lot of, it's called after action review, where we get together and talk. If it's been a major event, you probably wouldn't do it like you can always talk with your colleagues, but if you have a knee injury, it's kind of basic. You just help that one down. But if you have someone who died, or someone who actually, how does this really go? You know, what would we do? How could we done this better? We sit down and we talk about it a lot, and they always do follow-ups a week after and then a month after.
That's good.
Oh, nice.
So, and I know that I've heard that have changed as well. I mean, that's basically the same in the whole society, from people living like the firefighters or ambulance. Everyone who's out there before like 20, 30, 50 years ago, they didn't talk at all. So it comes from there, that you actually have to sit down and review what happened. So people can work with this because it can be challenging sometimes.
And you live with a therapist?
I live with a therapist, but she doesn't want to talk to me.
No, you don't help. Yeah, you don't help each other with those.
No, but
things?
I mean, we talk as wife and husband, obviously, but not as. She wouldn't sit down with me having a session. No way. No, she thinks I'm too complicated. Go visit someone else, she would say.
What does she do when she needs a therapist? Because as a therapist, who
she will go to another therapist and someone who she doesn't know. Like she's
a neutral person.
Yeah.
But in those conversations that you have with the team, there's not like a therapist coming in to talk about it. It's just you guys talking.
But we can have that help as well.
Yeah, okay.
But normally not. It feels like for me, this is my third season, so it's still pretty new for me. And people who have been working long, they say that like after the third season, that's when I just started to think, I like to figure it out. Okay, now I know what to do, So I say that like, okay, I'm looking forward to work like my fifth season. So I actually feel secure at work.
Yeah.
And the longer you work, the more you're going to see and the more you're going to experience, obviously. People who have been working 15 years or 20 years, they have been experiencing a lot more bad things.
Do you think you'll still be snowboarding when you're 70?
I hope so. I got a little bit of bad hips going on, but I hope I'm going to be able to snowboard. Now they've been talking about doing a surgery on my hips, so maybe I'm going to be good again. So
what are they going to do?
And they go in with they go in and they remove all the objects they don't want to be in there. I don't really know the medical terms for it, but it's just like the doctor said, my hips were designed wrong from the beginning.
Really?
Yeah, and because of that, it's been growing extra bone on top of each other.
Wow.
So now every time I do the out movement, the skeleton will just go on together
And it's painful?
Yeah, it's very painful. I'm in pain 24 hours a day.
Really?
Always.
And then doing this job. So
yeah, but the really relieving part about it is that the more I move, the better it feels,
Okay, that is good.
So if I sit down, that's why I'm trying to just when I'm sitting here, sit in this position because if I sit too long in one position, it starts to hurt.
Okay.
So for me, a job there actually a lot of movement involved is actually better. But then still, like when I was in Angola now in September, surfing 10 hours a day, and when you sit on your board like this the whole day, I couldn't really walk,
But you still do it.
I still do it.
And when do they want to do the surgery?
It's not decided yet because I was in Gothenburg last week talking to a specialist, and they took some new X-rays. And then we're going to talk again in next week again, and then discuss. I don't want to do a surgery now in the middle of the season. I mean, I've been in pain for a lot of years now. So for me, doing one more season with pain doesn't really matter, I just then if I can decide, I want to do it after the season.
But then I want to miss summer a bit or not?
Yeah, so that's the problem. And then we're going to go away surfing as well. And so I don't know really when to do it, actually.
It's like having kids. Is there ever a good moment?
No, it's never. Exactly.
You just got to do it.
But that's why I have to think and plan a lot. I like to plan. I really like to plan.
Yeah.
So the whole 2-year trip, me and Ida, my wife, wanted to do that. We almost did for 2 years, 1.5 years we did. We started planning that 5 years prior to the trip.
And what do you mean by the planning? You exact where you go, the stops, everything?
It's actually a pretty funny story because we were out, me and Ida, we met pretty late in life. I was 30, she was 28. I lived in Stavanger in Norway. She lived in Gothenburg. We met on internet dating. She came to Stavanger to visit me, and when she left, my friends in that house that I was living with, they said, "That was a nice girl. When are you going to get married?" After the first time we met, and I said, "No, we're not going to get married, no." And then, obviously we got married. But then we moved to Gothenburg, or after kind of a couple of years, I moved to Gothenburg, and then we went out traveling together, and I proposed to her in Portugal, 2014. And there, just after the proposal, 5 minutes later, we made a 5-year plan, what we wanted to do, because both of us, we love to plan ahead. It's if you plan ahead, it's not really a big problem. If it doesn't go their way, then we have to make new plans, obviously, but we really like to have plans forward and see the future. So we said, okay, we're gonna have 2 kids, and when the second one is born, so we said we're gonna have 1 kid 2016, and then we're gonna have 1. So I was like, okay, next year, next year 2015, we're gonna get married. Okay, good. 2016, we're gonna have our first kid. Okay. 2019, our second kid. Okay, and then we're going out for 2 years, and that happened.
Really?
Yeah. So 2015, we got married. 2016, we had our first kid. 2019, we had our second kid, and then we went out traveling. And then Corona came. We couldn't really plan for that. So
was that then extra hard because you did plan it and it doesn't go as according to plan? Or
we don't like when it doesn't go according to plan, obviously. But we don't. I mean, if it doesn't, it doesn't. I plan to live until I'm 100. That's my plan. But if it doesn't happen, I can't really do anything about it.
So you're okay to let it go, but you like to create the dream and the
but then we have to make new plans if we let it go.
Yeah.
So then we have to do like, okay, now we have to sit down and do new plans again.
Do you have a 5-year plan now?
I'm trying to have it because I want to move somewhere warm, but that's the problem. We're not really agreed on our 5-year plan. So we want to have 5-year plan, both of us, but we're not really agreed on how that one looks,
Okay.
And still, I mean, we live perfect where we live now in Tegefjell. We live very small, but we still want to be able to save money and go away with our van and travel a lot. If we're moving somewhere warm to another country, we probably have to give up the van, the apartment, everything, obviously, to have money to do that move. So then we have to, okay, is it worth it? What do we really want to do? Yes,
what we really like to do sometimes.
Yeah, that's nice.
Is we call it bullshitting.
Okay.
And then we say we're going to bullshit, and then it often involves a glass of wine. It's good for overall bullshit mode. Sorry for the word. And then we just say our dreams. Like it can be literally anything. Like hypothetical, if everything was possible, what do you want?
Okay.
And it's sometimes so nice to just get it out there because you listen to each other's wildest dreams.
Yeah.
And then from there you can back down a bit again and be like, okay, what can we do to get towards that point?
Yeah.
Even if it's never physically possible, you can still go towards it. And who knows, maybe it will happen.
Yeah, true. But is it always the same dreams? Like I would always have the same dreams if we were sit down bullshitting.
Oh no, it changes.
It changes a lot.
It changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But our life has been changing a lot.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And I have written down somewhere. I think this was when we just met, like 2011 or maybe 2012. I wrote down what we were gonna do in the next 5 years. So a bit like what you say, like we're gonna do a season in New Zealand, and then we're gonna go there and there. And it didn't turn out like that at all.
No.
But we did travel the world together in completely different direction of the world. But it happened in another way. And then suddenly what happened was that we came up on this idea to buy an American school bus and change it into Hostel Wheels. And of course, then all your life plans change again. And then suddenly you have a kid and it changes again. And what do you want next? And I think, I love to let go sometimes. I think it's a very powerful thing we can do as a person, to just say, even though it's great and it's amazing and life feels steady and you're at the top of your game, to say it's okay right now to let this go and go for something new and to trust in that next process.
I have that would be a hard thing for me to do, like to let it go, like moving somewhere warm. Like, okay, it's going to be hard to let
you let something go, but you get something amazing.
Yeah, of course,
for it in return.
And just to be like, I love my life now with the kids and our life here. It's perfect. Like I wouldn't change it for anything. But I always enjoy and always love to look at something different. Like you say, the bullshitting, the dream. Like what can we do more? Like it's not that I'm not satisfied. I'm really satisfied with the life here, and I'm satisfied with the family life and the kids and everything we do here. I love it. I wouldn't change it for anything, but there's always some part of me who wants to explore new things.
Yeah, but isn't that just okay? I think often that's connected to each other. That if you dream, then you kind of think that people will think that you think your life is not good enough. I don't think that's the same. I think you can completely enjoy what you have, but I think you can always dream of something else because it's allowed to change. It doesn't have to be static. No. It can go in any direction, and it's fun. Life is a big experiment in many ways.
Yeah, I have a 5 favorite expression that I know people around me, they hate it because I always use it. And but I think it's so spot on. It's in Swedish from the beginning, but if you translate it would be like the only constant is change. That's so true for me. There is nothing that's constant because time is always changing, right? So 1 minute ago was 1 minute ago, now it's now, and 1 minute ago after this is another time. So there is nothing constant. The only constant is change.
Luckily, and it's fun.
It's fun. I love it. I love change. I love doing new things, and I love to be able, like, to just like you say, to dream about it, and then if it happens, it happens. And I'm sure that we're gonna do more things than living here. But I don't know what, like you said as well, I don't know what that will be. Maybe it won't be moving to Costa Rica. And now I'm trying to convince my daughter to, like, okay, we're moving to Costa Rica. We're gonna do a yoga surf retreat, and then Ida, my wife, she can be a therapist. Like we can bring people there who are unlucky, and then we're gonna go there and surf and go into therapy for 2 weeks and have the time of their life, and they're gonna go back home and be good again. So
sounds like a great plan.
Yeah, my daughter, she's really into this plan now. So
nice.
You're starting from the ground up.
Yeah, she said she's gonna have my daughter's gonna have gymnastic practice with them. She's gonna have art with them.
Yeah,
sounds like a nice dream.
Yeah, it's a nice dream, but that costs a lot of money as well. So then like I said before, then we have to give up what we have here if we're gonna go there.
That is what Val said. Sometimes you have to give up everything to start somewhere else. So decisions you make.
Yeah, and if I look back on all the times that I've changed as my course in life, and it's been, like I said, it's been a few times, I've always been grateful for daring at that moment to take the decision, even though it really always meant letting something very important for me go. But somewhere, I rather try everything than always having that thought in my head, what if I tried? You know, like that's...
And I think that normally you can always go back to what you had before.
Yeah.
Normally you can do. That, you know, even though it's gonna be a little bit of hassle maybe if you sold everything, but still you're still gonna have this to come back to if you want to.
Yeah, for us this, for example, is our base camp. Now I think for the rest of our life this will feel like a base camp, something that we can kind of go away from and come back, and that's a really nice feeling as well. I'm glad that we created that in the last 2 years.
So how is your Swedish then, guys?
Jättebra.
Jättebra. Good.
To wrap it up, we have some rapid fire fun.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Rapid
fire fun.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do it. I love
Ski or snowboard?
Snowboard.
Hike or bike?
Bike.
Sauna or hot tub?
Hot tub.
Morning person or evening person?
Nothing.
Nice. You're so fast. You know your answers. You're like, bam, right there.
I have one more. Or Costa Rica?
Costa Rica.
Thank you so much for today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Coming. It's really nice.